Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Geek-Stew. And today, guys, welcome back to, I guess, just a chat with, like, I don't even know, geek rants. I'll figure something out for the title. But, so basically, I've been seeing sort of a trend on social media lately where there's a concept called Mount Rushmore, right? Mount Rushmore, of course, is the national landmark in the United States, if you didn't know that. But basically, there is a concept called Mount Rushmore, where basically you take your top four of some pop culture. It's a very common theme in like professional wrestling, actually, but recently I saw people doing it for anime and for manga and for comic books and things like that. But the one that I specifically saw was for anime. Now, of course, I love anime. It's one of the things that I talk about on the channel. One of the things that I like to do is watch it, find different things to enjoy, you know, different genres, and anime is very expansive, and that being that. But Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, is a very good way of having that conversation, right? Because when you talk about Mount Rushmore, you're talking about the four foundational animes, mangas, or whatever subject you're talking about. A lot of people, again, do it for, professional wrestling, which is, fantastic. A lot of people do that, and in my opinion, for professional wrestling, it's honestly one of my favorite things to do, especially as wrestling evolves. You get to do the Mount Rushmore. So that being said, today I'm going to do a Mount Rushmore for anime, and actually a separate one for manga. For me, I started out reading manga, or manga, however you pronounce it. I call it manga because I'm a illiterate fool. So I'm going to do one for manga, and I'm going to do one for anime. Because, in my opinion, I have two different Mount Rushmores for those, okay? And I'll talk about it here in a minute. But let's get into it. Let's talk about Mount Rushmore, and let's talk about my anime Mount Rushmore. So let's get into it. This might be pretty quick, so apologies if the video is too short. But in my opinion, the anime Mount Rushmore for me would be as follows. Of course, we have Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z is probably one of the most fundamental foundational animes that I've ever watched. In my opinion, it basically sets the scale for all future shonen animes. I feel like every shonen anime after like the late 80s, 90s area, kind of in some way, shape, or form, takes on Dragon Ball Z in spirit in some way, shape, or form. So, I mean, really, how can anybody dispute that beginning Dragon Ball Z is a foundational anime? For me, the other ones would go Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop was one of those ones I watched on Toonami when Toonami was really big in the 90s and early 2000s. It was one of those things I would watch it, and I really like the music, as many people do. Not to mention that it has a very interesting theme and everything else, so definitely an interesting anime if you've never watched it. I think most people have, though. The other one for me would be, for anime specifically, would probably be Naruto. Naruto is one of those ones where I watched it and read it, and I probably will include it on the anime one potentially, but Naruto was very foundational, an incredibly great anime. I think that I like Shippuden more than I like actually the original Naruto, but regardless, Naruto as a figurehead is certainly one of the best. And then lastly, I would probably, and this is the one I kind of tossed up a little bit, because foundational animes don't have to be old animes, so I'm gonna slide in there My Hero Academia. So, unpopular opinion probably, but My Hero Academia, in my opinion, is a very foundational anime for the present genre of anime, the present people in anime. And like I said, all three of those are typically kind of older animes that started a long time ago. My Hero Academia isn't as much, but in my opinion, My Hero Academia, really, it's building up a fan base, and it's continuing to drive people to watch anime. There are obviously other ones that kind of fall into that. I think it's like Jujutsu Kaisen, Seven Deadly Sins, Demon Slayer. All of those are great. But My Hero Academia, in my opinion, it's going to be one of those ones years from now. People are going to be talking about, oh, when I was a kid, I watched My Hero Academia, right? I said, oh, when I was a kid, I watched Dragon Ball Z. My Hero Academia is going to be this generation's Dragon Ball Z in a way, so take that for what you will. But that is my anime Mount Rushmore. Let's move into manga. So manga is an entirely different beast for me. Still, Dragon Ball Z is up there. I'm going to get that out of the way first and foremost. Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are honestly some of the best manga anime series of all time. Some people shit on it, and that's fine. That's your opinion. But I think you cannot, as an anime fan, dispute the fact that Dragon Ball Z is honestly one of the most influential and important pieces of work in regards to the future, past, and present of anime. That being said, these next three actually may surprise you a little bit because I'd never watched the animes for these shows for one reason or another. But these next ones are going to be definitely a little bit different than kind of what I talked about already with the... So I kind of alluded to it a little bit, but anime, in my opinion, has a little bit of a different role in my life than manga does. For manga, I had a couple of different mangas that really impacted me personally, one of which being Yu Yu Hakusho. I love the anime, actually. I have watched most of it, but it didn't have as much of an impact because I watched the anime years after I'd read the manga. And then also I read/watched it at two different parts in my life. So I really hold the manga to a high esteem. And the anime is actually really good. It's typically pretty close to the original. There is some filler in the Yu Yu Hakusho series, but it's not crazy by any means. The other one would be Shaman King. Shaman King was a very important manga in my life. I loved Shaman King. I actually want to go back and read it because they're actually making a new adaptation for anime. You're probably thinking, why did you never watch the Shaman King anime? Well, my question for you is, did you actually watch the Shaman King anime? Because the original Shaman King anime is absolute dog water. They are remaking it though, so I do have some high expectations for that. Because Shaman King was one of those animes that kind of started out sort of kid-esque. It was sort of like a kid-friendly manga in a way. Until the part where one of the characters got like almost skinned alive, which was sort of terrifying at the same time awesome. I don't know. But Shaman King was surprisingly like violent and gory as you got further on into the manga, and the anime completely glossed over that. So that's sort of my main complaint about the Shaman King anime and why I never watched it and why it's not in my Mount Rushmore. But it is in my Mount Rushmore for manga. Now this last one that we're going to talk about, again, this is one that I kind of go back and forth on. It's like on one hand, it's like, yeah, this is really important, and maybe not so much important. But this one definitely, in my opinion, has importance overall, but to me, only when it's in the manga version. So last but not least, in the manga section, obviously we have some greats kind of leading up to this. We had, of course, Dragon Ball Z. Can't forget that. That'll always be on my Mount Rushmore, regardless of what we're talking about when it comes to the anime manga world. So we have Dragon Ball Z, we have Yu Yu Hakusho, and then of course we included Shaman King, which sort of I think a lot of people overlook or sleep on. It's really great manga. Anime not so much, but we'll see with the modern adaptation how that goes. But then last but not least, we're gonna have to give it to Bleach. So you're probably thinking to yourself, why was that not in the anime section? Because the anime is actually pretty good. There are some fillers, but the fillers are actually not that bad. A lot of animes have really awful shit fillers, I apologize. But this one didn't. This one did not have the level of shittiness that normal fillers have. You're probably thinking to yourself, like, what do you mean? Like, what is that? So with the anime, you had, it was like they're like Shinigami vampires or something like that, which was kind of cool. And then there was another one, but I can't remember it for the life of me. And there are some short filler sections, of course, but for the manga specifically, there's none of that filler stuff, which could be a good or bad thing depending on how well you like the filler. With that being said, the manga also does have a complete series because the anime did not finish the final arc. They're working on finishing it, if I remember correctly. I feel like I remember hearing something a while back about how they're going to finally put into anime the 1,000-year Blood War arc, or I can't remember what it's called, but it's the last arc of the manga, but that never got translated to anime. Basically, we had the Fullbring arc, which is just prior to this one, and that was the end of it. But there is another arc. It is a very good arc. I would even go as far to say that it is superior to the Fullbring arc, and maybe even that initial arc where they break into Soul Society. I still think that the Aizen arc, the latter parts where we get to kind of see the Ichigo, who has all of his powers kind of unlocked with a holified, aspect. It's very interesting to see like that his powers, of course, in that arc. But this one, in my opinion, really, really, really sets the bar high for like how powerful Ichigo actually is. Like realistically, how actually powerful Ichigo is, and not just a, oh yeah, he's pretty strong, but no, like how incrementally and impossibly strong he is, and why he is that way, because it actually makes sense. This section of that manga finally makes everything else make sense, because everything else just kind of gets slapped on there and thrown at you, and you're just like, you know, what's going on? This actually makes it all make sense. That being said, I have some final thoughts, of course, but anime wise, manga wise, those are my two. Tell me what you guys think, but here we are moving into final thoughts. So some quick last thoughts, final thoughts here. Definitely, like I mentioned previously, like in the beginning, sort of the intro, is that the concept of like Mount Rushmore and everything else is really great. I love that. It's probably one of my favorite things to do with any franchise, is like, you know, Mount Rushmore is seen as like, these are the presidents that built the country, or whatever the case may be, or that they're super important to, like I said, the kind of the foundational structure. And I feel like it's really cool to do with animes, or anything else really for that matter. And it kind of also depends on how you view the Mount Rushmore. Some people think that like, oh, this is just like the best of the best, like the team, like my favorite, you know, the team to do or the team to beat type deal. Like these four put together are the best. And so it kind of depends on how you want to look at it. But, you know, that being said, of course, Mount Rushmore is such an interesting concept, and having seen it kind of pop back up online a little bit, it's honestly interesting and great. But that being said, tell me what you guys think about my Mount Rushmores, because I have the anime and the manga. They're different in my opinions, just because based on my personal perspective, what I've watched and read, sometimes they are a little bit different, you know what I mean? So it's like I never really watched, you know, the Yu Yu Hakusho until much later. So my impression overall of Yu Yu Hakusho is from the anime more than anything, or I'm sorry, from the manga more than anything. So that is why it's on the manga Mount Rushmore, but not on the anime, and vice versa. You know, I have the My Hero Academia anime on there because the manga is great, it's amazing, but sometimes there are certain things that you cannot get within a manga that you do get with an anime. Things like the explosive action scenes and the explosive fighting, and, you know, some of the voice acting, you know, some of that stuff really is important to the overall rather than it being on paper. And sometimes both of those things are good. For instance, Dragon Ball Z, the anime is amazing, but the manga does have its plus sides as well. And so with all that kind of being put together, let me know what your guys' Mount Rushmores are. Put me down in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Hit us up on social media. Tweet at me. Be like, my Mount Rushmore is this. And, you know, I'm really curious what you guys think. And but that being said, if you want to join the Geek-Stew crew, as always, let us know. Hit us up in the comment section. Give us a handle of some kind to reach out to you. Hit us up on social media. Facebook, Twitter are our best places. And then, of course, as always, hope everybody out there is staying safe, staying happy, staying healthy, and we will see you in the next one. See ya.